Hey y'all, it's Keidra, your favorite journalist, and welcome back to another episode of The Keidra Show, Listen to Key. I'm back. I'm so excited to talk to y'all this week. I have so many good little tips and tricks and notes on all things plastic surgery. We're going to get into that a little bit later. I have an expert here who's going to talk about plastic surgery, BBLs, mommy makeovers. I feel like it's always a trending topic, but we're going to actually speak to an expert who's going to give us some tips and what to look for, how to pick a doctor, why is aftercare important, why is the surgery so dangerous, why is it always trending, who gets it. We're going to really get into that later. First up first, we have our pop culture segment, and I have to start it off by talking about Tory Lanez. His sentencing is next week. As we know, this Canadian singer is currently sitting in jail for awaiting sentencing for allegedly shooting hip-hop rap sensation Megan Thee Stallion. We all know the story at this point. He's behind bars, and prosecutors want to give him 13 years for how he taunted her, all the shenanigans. He did videos taunting her after the shooting occurred, and because of that, prosecutors want to actually give him over 13 years, and I mean, they're not wrong. Once I really dug into this case and I started seeing statistics like, first of all, I want to preface by saying Black people are only about 11% of the population here in America. So when I see statistics that we are 2 times more likely, 3 times more likely to have any condition or go through any type of specific situation, that really gets me. It makes me emotional, because how are we so highly impacted by something and we only represent a very small percent of the population? Black and African American women experience violence at 2.5 times more, are more likely to experience violence 2.5 times more than white women. We experience domestic violence at higher rates than any other race, and we're less likely to report it because we always put racial issues first. We don't want to bring down our community. Most of the time, abuse is from someone that we know, right? Domestic abuse. You don't want to put your husband in jail. You don't want to get your baby daddy in trouble, your brother, your uncle, your dad, whoever's abusing you. According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, more than 40% of Black women have experienced intimate partner physical violence. Just think about your own family and the women in your family personally who have been impacted by domestic violence. I think that we see it so often that we kind of normalize it, unfortunately, especially those red flags that we ignore. So because of that, I have zero sympathy, zero empathy for Tory. He has to do his time. He has to go to jail. If you shoot unarmed Black women, you have to go to jail. That's just period. And then after that, he needs to go back to Canada, because we don't need that energy here. You can't make your money here in America after you come here shooting folks. I think it's okay. 13 years and then back to Canada, take his passport, and we're done on that. The Neighborhood Talk posted a very interesting topic on Instagram. What comedian just isn't funny? There's so many comedians. We all have so many opinions about which ones just aren't funny. Y'all gonna roast me for this? And it's fine, because, I've been here before. Y'all always drag me. My family's gonna drag me. I think y'all know who I'm gonna say. It's Dave Chappelle, y'all. He's just not that funny. Like, I don't know why we like to pretend like he's just so funny, and he's just not it. First of all, he had that show on Comedy Central. So, a very anti-Black show, and you're making fun of Black people for white audiences. It just wasn't funny. And then you disappear for all these years. Then you come back and give us these lukewarm comedy specials, again, making fun of other marginalized communities. My favorite comedians: Eddie Murphy, Chelsea Handler. I know y'all. The reason I like Chelsea Handler, and I'm even talking about new Eddie. I know that old Eddie was like, a little bit graphic. That's probably like 80s, 90s. I was too young to be listening to him anyway at that time. I just remember seeing him on stage with that red suit, like the clips. And I know that special was a little crazy, but I know he had a reputation for talking crazy. But I'm not really even talking about old Eddie. I'm talking about new Eddie, like the clumps and all that Eddie Murphy. I just thought he was just so funny. Like Dr. Dolittle, like Eddie Murphy for me could just do no wrong. Like I still think he's funny to like this day. I was just watching clips of Dreamgirls. He had me cackling and crying. He's it for me. Chelsea Handler, I love Chelsea Handler because I love how she makes fun of herself. And she always talk about her dad and their relationship and like how weird he was. And I just love folks who can make fun of themselves and who aren't always making fun of other people, because I think that's so corny when you're always going for low-hanging fruit. That's just so easy to do. We could all sit up here and roast other people, but you're getting paid millions of dollars for that. Like, I need you to dig a little bit deeper. And I feel like Dave Chappelle doesn't do that. He just gives us the same thing. All he does do is make fun of other people. He make fun of himself and put some more of his own experience into his comedy. Monique is my girl. I know she just had this comedy special and folks weren't feeling it because, you know, it was a little bit sad, but I'm just so inspired by her journey. And The Parkers is my comfort show. You just had to throw that toy when you know I'm recording, didn't you? Savage. Anyway, The Parkers is my comfort show. The Parkers will always be my comfort show. I don't know why. It's just hilarious. It's just so funny to me. Professor Overly, it just never gets old to me. Even Monique's comedy specials. I remember she had this special one time called "You Could Have Been My," I Could Have Been Your Cellmate, and she did a comedy special at like a women's prison. And I just remember being really young and watching that. I thought that was so cool and like her giving back. But it was just mad funny. Like, Monique will always be it for me. Even in that new movie she just did, Emma, on BET. She wasn't supposed to be funny, but it was some moments in there that had me like, girl. And she's just so talented. Like, I'm a Monique stan. I'm obsessed. And then last but not least, my man Cat Williams. Like, we don't give Cat his credit. Like, Cat does it every single time. Like, he does it every single time. I just always think about that special that he did, what was it, like 2009, when he had the green suit. But even since then, any movie I see him in, he's funny. When I see him on stage, he's funny. When I see him in interviews, he's funny. He's just consistent and he's authentic. And I think I have an appreciation for folks who really just like study the craft and who work from the bottom up. So I feel like all those people did that, and they just, any given time, could have me like he can. We're going to switch gears a little bit. And this week, at this point, we all know that we lost the beautiful Jackie O, who was the partner to Wildin' Out comedian DC Young Fly. And it just blew up into this huge conversation about cosmetic surgery and women because from the reports, we know that she did undergo cosmetic surgery, and then the surgery was successful to an extent because she went to a hotel, and then unfortunately she did not wake up. She was unresponsive. So it just raises so many questions about what went wrong in that scenario. Like, she made it out okay, and how did things go so wrong? BBLs, there's no secret, experts will say, is the most dangerous plastic surgery that you can undergo. I think it's like, in the interview we'll see, but I think it's like 1 in 20,000 people will perish from that procedure. It's just such a loaded topic as far as where the trend comes from, and I think it was just a really important moment to really take a deep dive into it. So I'm speaking to an expert. What I really like about the woman that I'm speaking to, that you guys will see in the next clip, is that what people don't realize is that there's so many layers to BBLs, mommy makeovers, tummy tucks. And when you, depending on where you get your surgery done, when you go and see that doctor, they send you home. Similarly to in the care of Miss Jackie O. And that next step, folks don't take as seriously because they're like, oh, I'm out of the doctor's office, I'm okay. You still need to be monitored. And then even after that, there's more aftercare that needs to go into it. So we're just going to get into all of that next. Such a loaded topic, such a tragic story. A beautiful soul. She was a mother of three. All we can do is just educate ourselves, and peace and blessings to her family and to her children that have to grow up without their mom. Okay, so I'm going to go into the next segment. Thanks, guys, for watching. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Same here.
So tell everybody your name and the name of your business and what it is.
Absolutely. So, my name is Chris Mary Rodriguez. I am located in the Bronx. I am CEO of, I personally specialize in post-op care as well as non-invasive body contouring, and the list goes on. So,
Say the name of your business one more time because I think it blinked out for a second. We froze.
yeah, so I'm CEO of Delicate Curves, located in the Bronx, New York City.
So, who is someone that would seek out your services? Who are your services ideally for?
So it really all depends. I have clients who come in for post-op care, being that they're coming out of, any kind of plastic surgery, whether that be liposuction, a combination of liposuction and BBL, tummy tucks, so it really all depends on the type of surgery. Non-invasive clients, I always get a lot who don't necessarily want to go under the knife, but do want to have some type of, alterations to their bodies, whether that's fat burning, skin tightening, cellulite reductions, stuff like that.
So, what exactly is a BBL?
So a BBL is really the removal of fat tissue from one area and then transporting it to the glutes, right? So the butt area. That's really what it is. It's a combination with liposuction. So it is a two-part process when it comes to the surgery itself.
And what exactly is a mommy makeover? I know we see
So
that
mom,
a lot.
Yeah, so mommy makeover is also a combination of surgeries, but it's a little more extensive, right? So you have probably a breast work that you want to do, whether that is a lift, whether that is an augmentation. You also have the traditional liposuction, the BBL, and the tummy tuck, which would be the removal of the excess skin. Once you have that flaccid skin that you just really can't get rid of through any other type of, modalities or methods.
I know that, well, we all know that BBLs trending on social media, mommy makeovers, and it's no secret that BBLs are one of the most, if not the most dangerous plastic surgery. I found a stat from the National Library of Medicine that says that the death rate for a BBL is 1 in 2,000.
Right.
So, as somebody who has worked in a doctor's office, in a plastic surgeon's office, who has worked with doctors overseas as well, right? Colombia,
Yes,
DR.
absolutely. I have networks in Colombia and I have networks in the Dominican Republic.
So, talk to me about that. Why do you think, from your expertise from being in the office, what is it? Why is it so dangerous?
I mean, a lot of people really don't do the research that's necessary, I feel, to get under the knife for a cosmetic surgery like these. You really have to do your due diligence when you're choosing the surgeon. You really want to know who's touching you, right? So are they board certified? Are they specializing in that type of surgery specifically that you want to move forward with? What is their aftercare procedures? Who is their team, right? Anesthesiologist, what kind of anesthesia are they using? So it's so many components that make up this decision that I don't think a lot of people really do their homework on. And that's when you see, mortality rates rising and all of these things. So, it's a sad topic, but I love that you're doing this because we're shining light on that, and it has to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So
I love
it's
that you I love that you mentioned board certified, because I don't know that everyone knows that every doctor performing BBLs don't have to necessarily be board certified. Is that correct?
yes. So if you are a surgeon, you kind of have the green light to do any kind of surgery. And there's a lot of loopholes within the medical field that allow this to happen. I would love to see in the future legislation on, these kinds of things because, again, you have people, doctors and surgeons who really are surgeons, but not specializing in that type of surgery. So that's where kind of, things can go left. And, it's really important that, again, legislation is a really important part of that. The loopholes allow these things to happen, but also the patient, right? Like, do your homework. I cannot stress that enough.
Right.
When you're selecting a surgeon.
There are so many groups on Facebook and on Instagram, and there are in TikTok. And how do you feel about a doctor or physician that has had a death? I know that they're some of the most popular ones have experienced that. What do you think about that? And folks who still go to them, or what's your thoughts?
Um, I feel like when you're going for surgery, whether that be cosmetic or not, there is always a risk of,
Right.
things going wrong. So that really can't be avoided, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
The best, like you said, the best doctors have had deaths. It really is on a like a live basis. So like what's happening on the table as we are going, right? Um, but most importantly, what is that surgeon doing to help the situation if it goes wrong? Right. So like are you stopping the surgery? Are you continuing? What is it that you're doing to stop me from eventually passing away, right?
Yeah.
So that is a really important question that I feel a lot of people don't ask a
Yeah.
surgeon is what if things go wrong? What are you going to do about it?
I love that. I think that's really important too, that people don't ask that question.
Absolutely.
Yeah, what are you going to do if something goes wrong? Can you talk a little bit about traveling to out of the country? Why do I mean obviously Brazilian butt lift Brazil, but why do some women what's Colombia and Dominican Republic versus here in the States, even Mexico? I think Turkey is becoming a thing now for BBL specifically, because I want to just stick to BBLs and like mommy makeover something. I don't want to get into all the cosmetic surgery.
Right. Right.
Um what's the deal with that? Is it because the girls can't afford to get the surgery in the States, so they go to Colombia because it's cheaper? It's like $1. What's going on?
So that can be a factor, absolutely, right? We're always trying to save the coin. But I feel like too, here in the States and specifically in New York, where I can speak more of because this is where I'm at, um, surgeons are limited to the amount of fat that they can remove during a surgery. So here it is a little more regulated than in other countries, right? So like for example, Dominican Republic and Colombia, where most people go when they're flying out of the country. Um, that is a factor, right? The money is a factor. The appearance, the look that we want, you feel like you're not gonna get it here because there are limitations, right? So a surgeon can only remove but so much fat, and we might feel like that's not gonna be enough for the look that I want.
Right.
So they book a flight and they're gone. Um, the Colombia and Dominican Republic, they really don't have a limit, right? So like they'll suck you out
Yeah.
completely, and give you that look, and well, at least try and attempt to give you that look. So I think that those are the main factors that
Yeah.
make people want to fly out.
I was listening to an interview with Cardi B, and she was talking to like Charlamagne the guy on the Breakfast Club, and she was mentioning I think that she either went to DR or Colombia, and he was like, why'd you go there? Like you have money to get it here. And she was like, because they're gonna do what I want there. So that's kind of
Exactly.
that myth that it's not always about the money sometimes, but also
Hmm.
because if you want a specific look, they're
That's where you're gonna get it.
yeah, they
Right.
don't have as many rules. Um,
Right.
can you talk a little bit about the before? So before, I think that sometimes people think that you could be 300 pounds and then with a BMI of 55 and then walk into a doctor's office and say, give me a BBL, and that's how it works. Can you talk about what some of those prerequisites are before a doctor can legally even touch you?
Right. So when we're talking like in the States,
Yeah.
again, there's so many restrictions. But I feel like even here in New York, some surgeons don't even follow those.
Oh, wow.
I see that a lot online where, patients that shouldn't be getting liposuction are getting liposuction. I've had clients who come in and try to have that conversation with me about what should their next steps be if they want to, get a certain look. And I have to be honest with you, if you're a certain weight and a certain height, um, you have to lose weight. At one point, you might want to think about, is it really plastic surgery that I need, or is it weight loss surgery that I need?
They're
So
very different, and people think that
absolutely.
it's plastic surgery, BBL, is a weight loss surgery, and it's not.
And it is not, absolutely not. Yes. Cosmetic surgeries are made to enhance your appearance, but it's not to lose weight. It's so important that people know that, because a lot of patients, again, they go in thinking that this is going to happen overnight, and it's not.
Yeah. So talk to me about aftercare, because so after, let's just say someone goes into a doctor's office here in New York, they have their pre-appointment, they have their physical, because a good doctor is going to require that you have a physical and blood work before he touches you. You have your procedure, and then after the procedure is where you come in with the aftercare. Why are your services important? Because I've looked online and I see I saw a doctor in LA who doesn't even recommend aftercare. And I was so shocked because I feel like, wow, aftercare, why do you think, from your expertise, aftercare is important? And what does that entail? What does that look like after you've had a BBL or liposuction?
So aftercare is honestly, in my opinion, sometimes even more important than the surgery itself. Your results are going to be dependent on the aftercare that you receive. So many things happen to your body. Your body is on like overload, chaos, doesn't know what's happening. Our bodies are naturally made to heal themselves, right? But if we're intentionally making some type of damage to it, it's going to cause, a certain effect. And that's why aftercare is so important, is because we want to be able to try and help the body regulate back to how it was before the surgery. So many connections and so many tissues are, disrupted within our bodies, specifically our lymphatic system. Our natural lymphatic system is one that a lot of people don't know about. So if you don't know about something, you're not going to take care of it, right?
Right.
So that is crucial, right? So when it comes to inflammation, when it comes to fluid retention, when it comes to even feeling okay, right? You feel bloated, you feel heavy, you feel so many things that an aftercare, a correct aftercare, will help you with. So, in so many different ways, it's crucial for your results
And
and
what
for
does
your
that,
health overall.
yes, yes. And what does that look like exactly?
So at the first stages, which is the inflammation stage, right after surgery, you're gonna see a lot of inflammation. You're very swollen. You're retaining a lot of the fluid that surgeons inject into the body to try and dissolve that fat that they're going to start lipoing out, right? They're just going to start removing. Um, and even after the surgery, your body is making that fluid, and it's still draining out of you. So you need to drain that internally as well as external, right? So I am, doing a lymphatic massage, and where I am draining the fluid out of your incisions, so incisional draining, and I'm also helping your lymphatic system regulate to the point where it can, drain itself within urine, stool, and sweat. That's how we naturally, function within the lymphatic system.
And how did you become trained to do lymphatic massages? How did you learn about it? What are those first steps?
So I first, knew that the importance of post-op care once I was employed with a plastic surgery office. Um, I started to love the service, and I feel like it's not enough providers out here doing it the right way. So because Colombia is like the epicenter of plastic surgery, I took a plane to Colombia and I trained with the best of the best out there.
Wow.
Yeah, so I wanted to really get the firsthand experience and the firsthand lectures from the professionals themselves. So I flew
Yeah.
to Colombia. I know I did some certifications here in New York as well. So I really feel like I've done my due diligence. I am continuously, reading and researching and looking for that next class because
Yeah.
things change all the time. The medical field is something that will forever be evolving. So keeping up to date with everything that comes out, is really important to make sure that you're giving the ultimate care to your patients.
And I love that you said that because I feel like there are some doctors who don't do that, who have been practicing for XYZ amount of years and who don't keep up with new technology, new studies, who are still learning. So I love that you invested in yourself, went to Columbia. We love entrepreneurs that invest in themselves.
Yes, yes. And
And
I think that's why surgeons probably don't recommend aftercares because they're not keeping up with the latest information.
yeah,
So definitely education is crucial when you're providing a service like this.
and you just feel 100% better. Like
Absolutely.
you just feel it's like the difference is night and day. So
Yes, absolutely. Like I remember you even texting me after I left your house. And you're like, "Oh my God, I feel so much better." It's music to my ears when I hear that. I promise you.
I was going through it. You like save the day. And you still do home visits for those that
I
think
do. I do. I definitely want to keep that option open to all my clients because it's very difficult to even leave your house
yeah,
when
yeah,
you're going through this. I mean, I've personally gone through this process before. I've had liposuction and BBL. Um, and it's a very, very tough process to go through, not just physically, like mentally,
mentally.
emotionally. You're just like everywhere, all over the place. So it's always good to have that person that you can one trust, right? Because you know that they know what they're doing. And two, someone who's also gonna give you that emotional support, tell you like it's gonna be okay. Right now it hurts, right now you're in pain, right now you are going through it, but it's gonna get better.
Literally, you're preaching because I feel like no one talks about the emotional aspect. I
Absolutely.
feel like because it's a cosmetic surgery, people don't respect it as much. So when you say you're going through all these things emotionally, they don't really take you seriously. And it's like you're on all these drugs, you're on an antibiotic, you're on pain meds, you're physically,
Hmm.
your body is trying to get it together. You're like, what did I just do? Like, am I crazy? And the person, and I also realized too, like, no shade to any friends or family, but sometimes it's worth it to um actually buy to pay for a caregiver because your friends and your family, they love you, but everyone's not a caregiver. You know what I mean? They
Absolutely.
might want the best for you, but cleaning
They're
up your
not gonna know what to
blood,
do in certain situations.
cleaning up your blood, it's like, girl, I love you, but I have to do you ain't tell me I have to do that.
Right.
You didn't tell me you couldn't shower. Like
Absolutely.
you can't get up and get your own water. Like I can't. Like I can't even sit on my ass. Like
Right.
people don't. So that's so important. I think the emotional aspect to it is so important that people just don't talk about enough.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
And it's hard. I would like to play a little Mythbusters game with you because
Okay.
I all the time see on social media like girls that have opted to have BBL, any type of work, they just get such a bad rap. Well, before we get to the Mythbusters game, I did want to mention going back to aftercare. We know, unfortunately, last week we lost a beautiful soul, Miss Jackie O, who we know from Wildin' Out,
Yeah.
partner to DC Young Fly, and it was just so I feel like it just hit everybody kind of hard because she was so young and no one expected this to happen. But I thought
Yeah.
it was interesting that obviously because of HIPAA laws, we don't necessarily know what happened. We just know she had the procedure and then she went to a hotel for aftercare and was unresponsive. So we know that one of the number one causes of death with a BBL is fat embolism, right?
Right.
Which is when fat is inserted into the blood.
Right. So depending on how the surgeon went forward with the BBL, whether that was over the muscle or under the muscle, while injecting the fat, fat embolisms can happen, unfortunately, is when the fat just enters into the bloodstream and clogs a viral, vein, or just clogs the entire connection of the blood system.
And how, if you make it through surgery fine, how does that translate to when you get home? How could you, obviously you weren't there, you don't know, but your hypothesis, how could someone pass when they're home and they're done?
So, I mean, a lot of factors come into play. You have to maintain a schedule of like just checking on your virals. And that piggybacks on, how important aftercare is, and having someone there who is an actual caregiver who knows exactly what they're doing and the process of taking care of such patient. Your virals need to be taken, periodically, because with these virals, and checking on yourself, you can detect early, if something is going wrong.
Mm,
Um, for someone who's probably their first time doing this, you don't even know if something is wrong because this is a completely new experience for you.
right,
So having someone there, that knows what they're doing and knows how to care for this type of patient is super important. My first question when I heard about, this tragedy was, who was taking care of her? Why was she alone in the first place?
right.
you know um who was in charge of her aftercare? Because someone who, of her caliber should not have been alone, not 1 second,
Yeah,
right? So why was she alone? Why was someone not assigned to help her through this process so early on too,
yeah,
so that it's just a lot of questions that, this brings up, that honestly I don't even know if we're ever going to have the answers to.
right. It's heartbreaking. So
It
your
is.
advice is to always have a professional. Just spend that extra money and have that nurse, someone that's going to check those vitals.
Absolutely. And a lot of people see the surgery as just like a one-time payment thing. And it's not. It's a
Yeah.
huge investment, and you don't want to go cheap when it comes to your health and your body and all of these things. You have to think about how much money you're going to spend when you make this decision. I tell my patients all the time, if you're going to go into surgery and you're not setting aside money for your aftercare, don't get it.
Yeah.
Don't get it at all, because it's not just a one-time surgery thing. Is There's a process that comes after that surgery that you're going to have to pay for,
Yeah.
and if you're not ready financially for a commitment like that, I don't recommend that you do it at all.
Yeah. Whew. Yes. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
We know that social media goes rampant with rumors and all types of things they make up. So I want to just bust a couple of myths that folks have, and that I hear and see all the time. I'm not sure that you hear and see as well.
Hmm.
Um, the BBL trend is over.
I don't think it's ever going to be over.
I feel like as a black woman, as a Latina, I
Right.
feel like being curvy is a part of our culture.
Yeah,
It's always so maybe if you're not a person of color, not a black person, maybe, but for us, I feel like it's always
absolutely. I
we're
feel like
gonna,
it's an image that we're always going to go after.
right.
We love looking in the mirror and just, saying, yes, girl, like,
And having
But
those curves.
yeah, I feel like it's not, I don't think it's really honestly a trend. I think it's just our nature to want to look a certain way. And some of us, honestly, we're not born with the figure that we want, right?
Right,
So that is why science exists.
right.
And that is why we go, after these types of procedures.
Everyone with a BBL just wants to look like a Kardashian.
Absolutely not. I mean, look at the Kardashians now. They're like super skinny, right?
Right. Exactly.
No, no, yeah. The Kardashians are an image of beauty, but beauty really is, a perception of what we see as beauty, right? So everyone has a different view of what beauty is. I may love the Kardashians. You may not love the Kardashians. You
I
might
know.
want to look completely opposite.
Nothing like that.
Right. You might want to look completely opposite
Yeah,
from what they look. It
yeah,
really is what we want. It's not, some people may want to look like them, but that's not, that's complete man for sure.
um girls that have BBLs are lazy and just don't want to work out. I know you've seen these before. No, this isn't new.
Yes, you would be surprised how often. But no, absolutely not. You can go to the gym for 3 hours a day, 7 days a week, and not achieve a certain image that you might want to achieve. And that's just the reality of it, you know. I can squat my life away and
Yeah,
I'm never gonna have the volume that I want to have, or, when it comes to breast, who's gonna lift up these boobies once I
right.
have a baby? You know, like
Yeah,
what machine in the gym is that? Because let me know. And I just had
exactly.
one.
Right, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, so it's not about laziness, it's not about none of that. Actually, working out is encouraged even before a plastic surgery because you want to tighten up those muscles, right?
Yeah,
It's no way around it. When it comes to physical activity, there's no substitute for that.
yeah,
No substitute for plastic surgery either. It's just two completely separate things. We should be active. We
yeah.
should go to the gym just for our health, not just for our image. It's encouraged for everyone, not just people who want to look a certain way.
Last but not least, do you have any thing that you want to add about anything that you just want followers to know or folks who come see you to know?
Um, do your research. Do your research and it can save your life for sure. You want to research the surgeon, you want to research their team, you want to research their licensing, you want to research their certifications. What did they do to prepare and specialize in this, and your aftercare as well. Who's touching you, who's giving you that massage, or do they know what they're doing? All of these things come with that decision. But don't do it for anyone else. If you want to decide to, move forward with a cosmetic surgery, whether that be your body, whether that be your nose, whether that be anything,
Right.
do it because you want to do it, not because you want to live up to, a certain expectation, or, my boyfriend likes big butts and I don't have one, so I'm gonna go get one. It's not about that. You have to put yourself first, second, and third. Everyone else comes after.
And really quickly, three things that somebody should look for if they're not in New York, if they can't get to you. Three things someone should look for in a person that's doing their aftercare and massages before they just go to like Susie down the street and she messes them up.
There's a lot of Susies out here.
Right.
Yes, so you definitely want to know where their education came from. Where did they go to school? What certifications they have, are they up to date on their credentials? Is it safe? Like, where are they doing these procedures? Is it a spa? Is it, whatever it is? Is it convenient for you? Are they going to come to you, or are you going to go to them? What are they going to use? What kind of modalities are they using? When it comes to post-op, there's certain technologies that you should not use. I mean, I can't say enough how many patients come to me after going to someone else
Right.
with extreme fibrosis because they got wood therapy the first week of their post-op. I mean, that is like
I don't even know how to
mind-blowing to me.
describe that feeling.
Right, right. I mean, you're already in pain and now you're gonna rub, wood tools on me. That's insane. That's, number one cause of fibrosis is,
Ooh,
not adequate aftercare.
yeah,
So just a lot of research, and always go with your gut feeling too. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. Don't go to that person because your gut is always gonna tell you what it is and what it's not.
yeah,
So, just definitely trust. And once you choose that person, trust them.
yeah.
Ask questions if you have to, but know that if this is the right person, trust them and trust your process. Don't, compare yourself to anybody else because everybody has a different experience, a different process. So,
Perfect.
yeah, that's a
Thank you.
lot, right?
It is, but it's really good information. So at the bottom of this, you guys, I'm gonna drop her information so you can find her. I'm gonna drop the link to the board certified website, because there is an actual link that you could, a website that you can see that's accredited to see if your doctor is certified. And if he's not, baby, I wouldn't go to him. And we're gonna drop
Yep,
those three things you said about aftercare, what to look for in an aftercare provider. And thank you so
absolutely.
much for chatting with me. And give
Thank
them
you.
your
Thank you so
socials.
much.
Give them your
Yes, absolutely. So I am on Instagram and on Facebook at delicate_curves. You can find me there. You can book me there. I also, post a lot of tips. Not only do I provide a service, but I also try to educate a lot on the topic. Because I just feel, again, it's really important to know certain things, whether that is with surgery or non-invasive treatments. So follow us.
Thank you so much. And I'm gonna drop all the information at the bottom. Thank you so much and enjoy your
You're very welcome. It was great seeing you again.
yes, thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye.